Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
In his fourth State of the Nation address, President Bongbong Marcos called out widespread corruption and failing public services while renewing his pledge to deliver affordable rice, reliable power, and quality education for every Filipino.
Some lawmakers have given President Bongbong Marcos an incomplete grade for his fourth SONA.
The 20th Congress opens with no leadership changes in both chambers of the legislature.
Several groups across the country staged protests during President Bongbong Marcos's fourth State of the Nation address.
In his fourth SONA, President Bongbong Marcos Jr. called out perceived failures and corruption in the government. He even acknowledged his administration's shortcomings. Here's the report.
President Bongbong Marcos delivered his fourth State of the Nation address, which lasted an hour and 10 minutes. Among the issues he didn't shy away from addressing was the poor water service, something he's already investigating.
Nakita ko na ang report. Kaya't ginagawa ng luwa ngayon ang mga mabisang hakbang laban sa palpak na serbisyo ng mga water district at kanilang mga joint venture partners. Titiyakin ng luwa na mailalagay na sa ayos ang serbisyo ng tubig ng milyong-milyong nating mga kababayan at gawin mas abot kaya naman ang presyo. Higit sa lahat, titiyakin natin mapapanagot ang mga nagpabaya at nagkulang sa mahalagang serbisyong publiko na ito.
When it comes to electricity, the president also acknowledged the power issues in various parts of the country, including Siquijor.
Dapat nilang ayusin ang pamamahala ng mga kumpanya ng kuryente at ipag-utos ang pag-refund kung kinakailangan.
The government hasn't forgotten about teachers. According to the president, they will receive payments for teaching overload and overtime work starting this year. His administration is also focusing on students' mental health. He called on Congress to provide funding for this. This came with an apparent side comment on laptops previously purchased for the Department of Education.
Ang mga laptop na laan para sa bawat guro sa public school. Tiniyak natin na walang anomalya sa pagbili ng mga laptop na ito.
The president proudly declared that the promise of 20 peso per kilo rice is now possible.
Napatunayan na natin na kaya na natin ang 20 pesos sa bawat kilo ng bigas nang hindi malulugi ang ating mga magsasaka. Binabalaan ko ang mga trader na magtatangkang magmanipula ng presyo ng palay o ng bigas o manloloko ng mga magsasaka. Hahabulin namin kayo dahil ang trato namin sa inyong ginagawa ay tinuturing naming economic sabotage.
President Marcos also zeroed in on the administration's priorities in terms of peace and order, one of which is the case of the missing Sabongeros.
Hahabulin at pananagutin natin ang mga utak at mga sangkot, civilian man o opisyal. Kahit malakas, mabigat o mayaman, hindi sila mangingibabaw sa batas. Higit sa lahat, ipararamdam natin sa mga salarin ang bigat ng parusa sa karumal-dumal na krimen ng mga ito.
PBBM also dropped a strong warning to those allegedly stealing from flood control projects.
Kitang-kita ko na maraming proyekto para sa flood control ay palpak at gumuho. At yung iba, guni-guni lang. Huwag na po tayong magkunwari. Alam naman ng buong madla na nagkakaraket sa mga proyekto. Mga kickback, mga initiative, errata, SOP, for the boys. Kaya sa mga nakikipagsabwatan upang kunin ang pondo ng bayan at nakawin ang kinabukasan ng ating mga mamamayan, mahiya naman kayo sa inyong kapwa Pilipino. Mahiya naman kayo sa mga kabahayan nating naanod o nalubog sa mga pagbaha. Mahiya naman kayo, lalo sa mga anak natin na magmamana sa mga utang na ginawa ninyo nang binulsan nyo lang ang pera.
Moreover, the president urged local governments to support physical activities and sports. He then gave recognition to athletes who brought honor to the country, including Manny Pacquiao, Heidelin Diaz, and Carlos Yulo. And he didn't forget to mention PNP Chief Nicolas Torre, who won by default in his boxing match against Davao City Acting Mayor Baste Duterte.
Sama na rin natin yung bago nating kampiyon, si PNP Chief Nick Torre.
The government is now holding a post-SONA discussions. In focus for the first session is food security and economic development. Now let's listen in.
Nung panahon po ni President Ferdinand Sr. at ni Secretary Estrella Sr. ay nag-uusap tungkol sa pagbibigay ng lupa sa mga magsasaka, kayong dalawa po ni PBBM ay nandoon at lagi nakikinig. Kaya ganyan din po ang inyong naging advokasya ngayon.
Opo. In fact, nakakatakot nga ho yung sinabi ng ating Pangulo eh. Ang sabi ho niya, tsaka na tayo magpahinga, pagpatay na tayo. kaya talagang pinagsisipagan po namin lahat. Napakasipag po ng mga kasamahan ko dahil ang ating Pangulo is showing a good example. Siya po ay napakasipag, kagagaling lang ng abroad, ikot ng ikot, pagkatapos tatamad-tamad ka, baka masabihan ka ng mahiya naman kayo. Hindi ba? Kaya kailangan magsipag ho talaga.
Salamat,
Salamat
Secretary. Ayan po. Sa puntong ito, atin pong sasagutin naman ang mga katanungan mula sa ating mga kaibigan mula sa media. Okay? Unahin po natin. Secretary Ralph, sa GDP growth within the context of external challenges, how is the performance of the Marcos administration doing so far?
Alam po ninyo, Yusek Claire, magandang katanungan yan. Kung matatanda ninyo, naging napakalaking hamon para sa Pilipinas, etong third decade of the 21st century. Dahil unang-una, nag-umpisa tayo sa pandemic noong 2021. At matatanda ninyo, ekonomiya natin noon ay bumagsak na mahigit 9.5%. Mas malaki pa ang bagsak kaysa noong World War II, kung tutuusin natin. At dahil doon, milyon-milyon tao ang walang trabaho, nag-lockdown yung ating ekonomiya. Nung si Pangulong BBM ay naging Pangulo noong 2022, ang utang ng Pilipinas noon mahigit 13 trillion. Kulang-kulang 13 trillion. At pagkatapos noon, nagkaroon ng gera ang Russia-Ukraine. Dahil dito, tumaas ang inflation, tumaas ang presyo ng gasolina, tumaas ang presyo ng pagkain, lalo na ang bigas. No? At pagkatapos noon, nagkaroon pa ng gera ulit. Yung Israel-Gaza, Israel-Iran, may trade war. Ngayon, meron mga tariff war na nangyayari sa buong mundo. Sabi ko nga kanina, ang expectation ng ekonomiya ng buong mundo ay lalago ng 3% sa taong ito. Ang Pilipinas naman, inaasahan natin ang ating ekonomiya ay lalago na mahigit 6%. Nabanggit ko rin kanina na ang inflation rate sa buong mundo ngayon, mahigit 4 to 4.5%. Ang Pilipinas ngayon, ito May, I was about 1.4 to almost 2% maximum. No? So kung titignan natin, we are one of the fastest growing economies. We're able to create jobs. And if we can grow 6 to 7% annually for the next 10 years, that will double the size of the Philippine economy. Ibig sabihin, ang kinikita ng bawat Pilipino, dodoble din. No? So we are on track in achieving this. No? At pagdating ng 2028, naasahan natin na ekonomiya ng ating bansa mahigit 37 trillion na ang laki ng ekonomiya ng ating bansa. Gusto ko rin dagdagan, Yusek Claire, na lahat nung nabanggit ni Pangulo sa SONA niya kahapon, handa ang Department of Finance na punuan yung pondo na kinakailangan para doon sa 1,000-day roadmap ng Pangulo.
Naku, magandang balita po talaga yan, Sec. Ralph. At thank you po.
Thank you.
Ito naman po kay Secretary Mina. How will the DBM help ensure that this year's budget deliberations are more transparent? Do you support an open bicameral process?
Unang-una po, nauna po ang eksekutibo na magsabi na kung maaari, ibuksan ang ating bicameral o ang proceedings ng ating budget deliberation mula sa simula hanggang sa dulo, hanggat ito po ay makaabot sa Office of the President, hanggat ito ay mapirmahan ng ating Pangulo. Ang ating budget po ay napakahabang proseso. Pag natapos po ang ating budget, yung sinabi ko po kanina, ito po ay magiging President's budget. Sa ngayon po, iniimprenta na po ang ating budget. In 2 weeks, ibibigay na po natin ito sa House of Representatives at saka sa Senado. Yan po, pagkatapos po natin yan ibigay, nakapublish na po ang ating National Expenditure Program sa ating website po, sa DBM. Pagkatapos po niyan, magkakaroon na po tayo ng sunod-sunod na consultation at budget deliberation sa Senate at saka sa House of Representatives. Lahat po yan ay open sa public. Via Zoom, makikita po nila yan sa website ng DBM, sa website ng HOR, sa website din po ng Senate. So, ang gusto po sana natin ay makibahagi ang ating mga kababayan, lalo na po ang ating mga kabataan, para malaman po nila kung paano ang paggawa ng budget at saka kung paano po ito matatapos. Sinimulan natin nang ito ay bukas sa tao, hanggang sa matapos po ito po ay bukas sa tao. So, ang panawagan po natin, yung mga kabataan dito, anyway, tech-savvy naman sila sa kanilang mga telepono, sa kanilang mga laptop. Pwede nilang buksan kaagad yan, tingnan ng social media.
All right.
Yeah,
That was the ongoing post-2025 SONA discussions by some of the cabinet members of this administration.
What you just saw is the post-SONA, which is done at traditionally a few days, 1 day or a few days after the actual SONA. It's you can't ask questions kasi sa presidente pag after ng SONA, di ba? So this one is usually a clarificatory event, no? So you had there former Senator and Secretary Ralph Rector of Department of Finance talking about yung budget and funding. And then you have Secretary Amena Pangandaman of Department of Budget and Management also talking about 2 weeks from now, the budget will be sent back to Congress and for their signatures and para
Actually, it's a
and the
big
copies.
discussion talaga regarding the budget because of the SONA yesterday of PBBM. Dahil nga sabi niya, he's willing to tolerate reenacted budget kapag wala sa alignment ng NEP yung ipapasang 2026 budget. And right now, they were discussing about the open BICAM, which is a lot of people have been suggesting para daw maiwasan yung mga pag-i-insert, yung mga insertion sa ginagawa ng mga politiko when they were doing BICAM
Para
process.
maintindihan ng viewers, ang sinasabi kasi dito is if may nakita si President Marcos ang insertions na hindi kasama sa original na pinag-usapan ng both chambers, tsaka he will not sign the new budget and instead he will reenact. Yung reenact means uulitin natin ang budget natin last year kahit magkakulang-kulang pa tayo ng pondo sa mga future projects, he will not approve a faulty budget.
And we all know naman kapag reenactment, yung mga key projects, medyo may mga magkakaroon ng delay yan. So we will see the update on that. Meanwhile, the 20th Congress opened with the re-election of Senator Chis Escudero as Senate President and Representative Martin Romualdez as House Speaker. Escudero retained his position as Senate President after securing 19 votes. Senator Joel Villanueva, who nominated Escudero, commended his leadership, saying the Senate had remained on the moral high ground under his guidance, particularly in handling the impeachment issue. In his speech, Escudero urged colleagues to work beyond the noise of politics.
Hiling at panawagan ko po sa aking mga kapwa senador. Magtrabaho po tayo sa kabila ng ingay ng politika.
In the House of Representatives, Leyte 1st District Representative Ferdinand Martin Romualdez secured 269 votes for speakership. However, several lawmakers abstained from voting, including Representative Albi Benitez, who said the chamber needs a leader who would stand behind President Marcos. In his speech, Romualdez criticized the Supreme Court's recent decision declaring Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment case unconstitutional.
The court may close a case, but it cannot close the cause. The pursuit of accountability is not a moment. It is our mandate. And as your Speaker, I will be here, not just to preside, but to protect. Hindi ko kayo iiwan sa gitna ng unos. Sisiguraduhin kong walang bubong ang babagsak, walang pader magigiba, at walang miyembro ang mapapabayaan.
Several senators have weighed in on the Supreme Court's decision declaring the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte unconstitutional. Senate President Chis Escudero said the chamber has no choice but to respect and enforce the ruling. Senate President Pro Tempore Jinggoy Estrada warned that moving forward with the trial could trigger a constitutional crisis. VP Sara's allies, including Senator Amy Marcos, welcomed the decision and called on colleagues to respect the court and move on from politics. Senator Risa Hontiveros, however, argued that the process isn't over until the decision is final and executory.
As a lawyer and as an officer of the court, we do not have a choice. That is my position. The decision is clear. All we have to do is implement it.
So, hanggat hindi final na final, ang understanding ko ay ongoing yung trial. Kaya nagsusumikap lahat. Magkaroon ng kalinawan.
Now, the Senate is expected to hold a caucus today to discuss the priority bills for the 20th Congress. And for more details, we have mobile journalist Merimon Reyes on the ground. Hey, Merimon, tell us what's happening there.
Good morning, Angela and Angelo. So far, ngayon inaasahan na natin magsisimula na yung press briefing with Senate President Chis Escudero. And isa sa inaabangan natin na sana ay matalakay, if not ngayong press briefing, baka mamaya sa kanilang 1 o'clock p.m. caucus, ito nga magiging galaw na ng Senado. Tungkol nga doon sa impeachment case laban kay VP Sara na ni-rule ng Supreme Court as unconstitutional. Kahapon kasi nung nakausap din natin si Senadora Risa Hontiveros, ang nasabi niya, hindi raw sila hihinto doon sa SC ruling lang talaga. So asahan natin na posible, kasabay nung i-file ng House of Representatives na for reconsideration, maaari magkaroon din ng galaw dito sa loob ng Senado. Pero bukod dyan, yung isa sa mga inaabangan din natin is yung line-up na ng mga priority bill na iisa-isahin na nila. Pero during the past weeks, yung ilan sa mga inaasahan natin na mga panukala na matatalakay talaga ay yung sa minimum wage hike, na maraming senador ang nag-file para madagdagan pa kung maaari. Kasama na rin dito for infrastructure, Senator J.V. Ejercito, kasi nga raw nakikita nila importante ito, lalong-lalo na sa mga direct foreign investors. And itong pagdating sa online gaming or gambling, kasi karamihan sa mga senador, halimbawa na rin dyan si Senator Mig Zubiri, Senadora Hontiveros, pinaliwanag nila or in-express nila kahapon hanggang kaninang umaga sa pagmamonitor natin yung kanilang pagkadismaya dahil hindi nga nabanggit, walang napag-usapan, nor natukoy na magiging aksyon ng pamahalaan dito. So asahan natin sa dinami-dami ng final na panukala either for banning or for regulating online na gaming or gambling, erorolyo talaga yun dito sa Senado. Balik sa inyo.
Merimon, paano yung mga committee appointments? Kasi usually sa dami ng bills na kailangan talakayin, ibabalik to sa mga kanya-kanyang committee na relevant dito, no? So do we expect at least the major committees today na magkaroon ng appointments?
Yes, Angelo, tama yan. Part na rin ng agenda nila ngayong araw is yung pag-organize ng Senate subcommittees plus kung sino yung mga manunungkulan dito. Titignan din natin if ever kung ito nga sila Senator Bam Aquino, makuha niya ba kaya ang education, etong kay Senator Kiko Pangilinan for agriculture, dahil nga isa rin ito sa naging motivation ni Senator Pangilinan nung ibinahagi niya nga kahapon yung kanyang boto kaya SP Chis para nga sa liderato. Pero paglilinaw niya rin daw, hindi siya kakampi ng administrasyon. Ito raw ay para nga sa kanyang adhikaing, lalong-lalo na pagdating sa food security at nasana nga makatrabaho niya raw ang mga tao na makakatulong na maging maipagpatuloy yung mga plano sana para sa ikabubuti ng sektor na iyon. So asahan natin, bukod dito sa priority bills, bubuin na rin yung mga committee, sino yung mga manunungkulan dito as chairpersons, and hopefully sa mga susunod na araw ay magro-roll out na ito. Kasabay din yung magiging desisyon ng mga senador tungkol nga dito sa impeachment laban sa bise.
I was wondering, Marymon, kung kamusta naman yung atmosphere dyan ngayon sa Senate, right? After the SONA and of course yung re-election ni Senator Chis Escudero as the Senate President, knowing nakita natin sa iba't ibang mga social media, particularly sa ex ni Senator Bam Aquino, yung tweet niya no, na pinakita niya squad goals, #squad goals, kasama niya si Senator Risa Ontivero, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, and that was before the re-election of Senate President Sino, bago sila pumanig sa majority. So, kamusta yung atmosphere dyan? Meron bang mga tensyon dyan nangyayari ngayon sa Senate?
Angela, sakto kagabi kasi bago umuwi si Senadora Risa, natanong pa natin siya ano ba kaya yung masasabi niya doon sa naging boto ng Kiko Bam na tandem. Ang nasabi niya lang sa atin, siya raw ay excited na makatrabaho ang Senate minority. Pero so far dito sa Senado, actually birthday ngayon ni Senator Rodante Marcoleta, kaya merong pataho. So ito yung pinaka-latest na na-try natin dito. Yung ilang mga mambabatas, asahan natin na baka sa mga susunod na oras pa talaga natin sila makikita dito para nga either sa kanilang plenary, para sa kanilang caucus. Pero so far, kalmado pa naman ang sitwasyon dito sa loob ng Senado. Ang nakita nga lang natin talaga yung pagbabahagi ng pagkadismaya ng ilang mga senador dahil nga karamihan sa kanila ay nakulangan sa State of the Nation address ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos kahapon.
Ayun nga, kasi tatanong ko kamusta naman yung mga no-show na Duterte block kung tawagin na mga senador dyan ngayon.
Angela, ang nasabi nga dyan na 2 weeks ago, sinabi na ni Senator Bato na siya talaga mismo by personal choice, hindi siya pupunta dito doon sa sa SONA kahapon dahil nga may ilang mga kongresista raw tsaka mga tao sa Malacanang na ayaw niya na raw makipagplastikan. Samantala, kahapon din, bago umalis ang mga senador dito sa Senado, papunta na nga sa Batasan Pambansa, ang nasabi ni Senadora Aimee, silang Duterte block tulad last year, napagdesisyonan daw talaga nila to move as one na hindi sila pupunta sa Senado, sa SONA. Pero ang sinabi dito ni Senadora Aimee, para raw sa kanya, may mga ibang bagay pa raw na dapat bigyan ng pagtuunan ng pansin, i-prioritize, at yung magiging laman naman daw ng SONA ni Pangulong Marcos, makikita naman daw nila sa mga media entity. So yun yung pinaka-nasabi sa atin ng Senadora kung bakit hindi siya pupunta. Pero for the others doon sa Duterte Block, ang nasabi niya, basta move nila yon as the Duterte Block, so kanya-kanya na lang talaga kung meron pang underlying na reasoning kung bakit hindi sila pumunta sa SONA.
All right, thank you for that. That was mobile journalist Marymon Reyes.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. As the nation looked for answers, President Marcos left some of the country's biggest issues unspoken in his fourth State of the Nation address. Despite growing public pressure to regulate or ban online gambling, the president made no mention of the controversial industry. Marcos was also silent on the country's new trade deal with the United States and did not mention the ongoing trial of former President Duterte at the International Criminal Court. He also skipped calls for a 200 peso daily wage hike, an issue long demanded by labor groups amid rising prices.
All right, what stood out? What was left unsaid? Now let's break it down with our political analysts.
Joining us today are Michael Yusinko of the Ateneo de Manila University and Dennis Coronacion of the University of Santo Tomas.
Wow.
Full force pala tayo
Good
today.
morning sa mga mga intelligent minds from two different schools.
Oo. O sige.
Okay, let's begin. Anyone can answer. The question was here kasi this seemed like a unique SONA because this was a SONA of the president holding everyone else accountable for the administration's misgivings. Despite of it being the fourth, kasi why unusual? Usually mga ganito, second and third. Usually fourth, puro accomplishment na ito. So, what do you think of it? Of what the president is trying to convey? Let's start off with Prof. Michael.
So, beauty before age, ah? Okay.
Bala na kayo mag-usap dyan.
Oo, Prof. Michael, ano yung pinaparamdam niya by holding accountability? Pero fourth na to eh.
The answer is simple, no? It was the result of the 2025 midterm election. You cannot avoid it. The president could not deny that the election results or the message behind the election results, no? Na people are dissatisfied, right? Voters are dissatisfied with the administration. So I don't think he had a choice, no? He could have stuck to quote unquote a script and say na, or the script na eto na, itong mga magagandang nagawa namin, ito na, ganyan. But that's not really the reality we live in now, right? So I think the president had no choice but to start from where the reality is, and that's many Filipinos are struggling. Many Filipinos, actually, ang best description is many Filipinos are living paycheck to paycheck. In other words, hindi naman sila lugmok sa kahirapan, pero they are struggling and they are dissatisfied. And they showed that in the 2025 midterm. So I suppose that's the way to look at it. The president really had no choice but to begin or start from that realization.
Yeah, before I turn it over to Angel, dugtong lang kay Prof. Dennis, yung sinabi ni Prof. Michael, no? Parang sabi he had no choice, there's no and a lot of people are suffering. Ang question is, if iba ang naging resulta ng midterm, would this SONA sound the way it sounded?
Well, I don't think so. Tingin ko it's the SONA would the message in that SONA would still remain the same. And I think even the approach, the attitude of the president would be the same. So bakit ko sinasabi to? Because I think the president has become very aware of the new political environment or situation that he has found himself in. In the span of 3 years, nagbago yung kanyang yung political reality niya. From having important allies in the government, na right after the election, na-realize niya, kukunti na lang pala. Even his vice president is no longer there standing side by side with him. So realizing this new political reality, actually even before the elections he was still hoping na pwede pa sila mag-reconcile. But I think he has already accepted the fact that some of his allies would no longer be there until he ends his term. In fact, part ng pagre-reflect niya is that yung acceptance niya ng ganyang bagong reality niya is that he took a swipe at various political figures na hindi niya lang sinabi mga pangalan, pero he mentioned their businesses. Yung water utilities, for example, o kaya yung mga failures ng past administration, ngayon kino-call out niya na, which he never did before.
Correct.
And which is quite easy to understand because before he was tolerating, he was accommodating yung mga kapalpakan ng mga political allies niya, because he did not want to run the risk of alienating them. Ayaw niya mawala. Pero ngayon, natanggap niya na, wala na talaga kayo, so babanatan ko na kayo. Yun ang tingin ko dyan,
Well, to be fair, he did mention, he did admit sa first part of his speech na referendum ito ng naging midterm elections. Ibig sabihin, hindi solve, di ba, kumbaga, ang taong bayan pagdating sa kanilang ginagawa in his administration. But yung issue ng flood control projects, ito yung naging focus in the last part of his speech yesterday, and there were a lot of applause because of the, or actually cheerings and applause, di ba? Because of the term na sinabi niya, mahiya naman kayo. So the question here, does the call ring hollow? Meaning, coming from a family who has history of corruption, diba? Gaano kabigat itong sinabi niya yesterday?
Well, for me, that was...
Okay.
For me, that was the climax of the SONA, no? Because yan yung... That was something that should be said, and it was the president who should say it, no? Yan yung hinihintay ng taong bayan. But you're correct, no? It will ring hollow if there is no action after this. No? And what action am I talking about? No? I'm talking about the appointment of a more capable and devoted ombudsman.
Yes.
Kasi alam naman natin that the ombudsman is responsible for investigating and prosecuting graft and corruption in government. Now, what we need in the context of what the president said is a ombudsman na hindi matitinag at hindi matatakot sa mga political dynasties. Because yung sinabi ng Pangulo na mahiya naman kayo, alam naman natin kung sino sinasabihan niya noon, di ba? Mga political dynasties sa harap niya. Because sila naman talaga yung kumikita dito sa mga flood control projects na to. We all know that. We have a paper that proves that. So, the only way na yung challenge na yun by the President in the SONA not to ring hollow, as Angela said, is for the ombudsman, for the President to appoint an ombudsman who is more capable and more devoted and who will not be afraid to prosecute political dynasties.
Oo. Sir Dennis, ikaw, do you agree with that? Okay ba yun? Do you feel yung sincerity ng Pangulo yesterday when he said that?
Yes, I agree with Attorney Yusinko's opinion, that the President, I agree that the President should not stop at exposing the names of those public officials and government employees, as well as contractors, who were involved in this, I don't know kung yung mga controversial na mga what do you call this, yung flood control projects na yan. And kasi dati parang otherwise this would become an empty threat kapag puro lang siya statement sa SONA and then without doing a follow-up. So I think the President is sending a strong message kasi nga because of his different political milieu. Tingin ko mas seryoso siya ngayon. But there was an instant reaction from the crowd, bukod doon sa mga legislators na nandun, parang nagulat sila in a way. Although may mga pumalakpak, maraming pumalakpak. Pero ang ano doon is that yung kumakalat na opinion sa social media was that does he have the moral ascendancy, given the fact, as you said, na yung given his family's background in government service, wherein they're being accused of parang committing corruption. Nung panahon pa ng tatay niya, So, yun ang malaking tanong din meron bang moral ascendancy ang Pangulo upang i-call out at saka magsagawa ng ganyan? Pero sa akin lang, kung hindi niya gagawin yun, gaya ng nasabi ni Attorney, who else is going to do that? Being the leader of the country, I think kahit pa hindi okay yung background niya, yung ng family niya, still has to do it. Kasi kung hindi siya mag-umpisa niyan, sino pa?
Yeah, Prof Mike, kasi he mentioned also, well, alam naman natin, one of his major campaign promises was 20 pesos na bigas. Now, if you take a look at that promise, oo nga, hindi naman niya sinabi na organic pricing or yung actual market price na 20 pesos. So, baka sabihin nila mga ibang tao, sarcastic yun. So, when he said na-achieve na, do you think that's true? Because parang ang achievement na 20 pesos sa bigas is only sa Kadiwa stores, which is subsidized. So it's
which
not
is pera natin
yun. So it's not really 20 pesos per kilo in the market.
So in this particular instance, obviously there's a failure of communication between politician and the people, ganyan talaga nangyayari kapag ang mga politician natin ay prone to promising the stars and the moon, tapos yung mga taong bayan willing to accept. Kasi dapat nung nangampanya pa lang siya about this, dapat na-challenge na siya agad
Yeah,
na-challenge na siya agad na, teka na, anong ibig ko sabihin na 20 pesos per kilo, ganyan. But the problem is, there was no challenge at that time, which gave him the leeway na nung nanalo na siya magdi-define anong ibig sabihin ng 20 pesos na bigas.
That's why he was vague about it.
Now,
Yeah.
Here we are now na yung 20 pesos is subsidized by taxpayers. Now, syempre, hindi mo naman tayo mga taxpayers, mahirap naman na magreklamo dyan kasi marami rin natutulungan na kababayan natin. That cannot be denied na
Yeah.
maraming kababayan natin ang nagiginawaan dahil sa ganon, dahil sa programang yan. But still, hindi dapat rin natin pabayaan na medyo na hoodwink tayo dito in a sense na yung 20 pesos na akala natin will be, market price or dictated by market forces, hindi pala gano'n, di ba? Subsidy pala yung ibig sabihin. So, lesson learned dapat ito when it comes to listening or hearing politicians make promises na tila na maganda pero dapat i-challenge.
Kayo naman, nangako na nga, gusto mo pa ito pa rin. Dugtong lang muna before dugtong lang kasi Prof. Dennis, yung bigas issue na to was supposed to be a legacy building for one of the legacy na iiwanan sa atin ni President Bongbong Marcos. Ngayon, a lot of us think, that parang hindi ito kaya talaga sa merkado, no? O anong matitirang legacy building na pwede iiwan sa atin given na lame duck stage na ito?
Well, tama kayo na. If that's being eyed as one of the legacies of the president, I don't think it's going to be a good legacy. Kasi nga, it's heavily subsidized by the government and it's not commercially viable. So I think pag pumasok yung bagong presidente by 2028, it's one of those projects by the predecessor na i-scrap agad. Yan ang tingin ko dyan eh. Tapos, of course, alam naman natin that subsidies are always frowned upon in governance. O kasi ano lang yan they are seen as short-term solutions pero hindi siya permanent. Pero given the track record of our government regardless of the administration, parang na yata tayo, mahilig na yung government natin na kung hindi magsa-subsidize, magdo-dole out.
Yeah,
Just like, although maganda intention, yung 4Ps for example, pero hindi naman maganda nagiging epekto at saka nagiging instrument of patronage politics.
Correct.
Pero ako, I wanna continue this to Professor Dennis. I wanna talk about the manner of his speech yesterday. He spoke in Filipino language. Some would say na he spoke to the people rather than the legislators in front of him as compared to the previous speeches. Some would say populist yung naging speech niya yesterday dahil libreng ganito, zero bill out sa ospital, may pa Zumba, may pa sports, etc. Your thoughts on that po?
Well, obviously he chose his
audience. Would you consider that
audience.
populist?
He chose his audience yesterday to his speech niya. Tama kayo, he was talking more with the people rather than the people inside batasang pambansa. And having that intention, ang ginamit niyang language is the language of the masses. Yung ating lengguwahe, no? Yung parang naalala natin si Erap, tsaka si Pinoy sa kanyang ginamit na wika kahapon, And I think dahil doon, mas marami nakaintindi sa mga mensahe ng kanyang SONA speech. At the same time, nag-resonate yung mga messages kasi nga, bukod doon sa language na ginamit, ay yun ding yung mensahe na mas marami pang dole-outs na ibibigay ng government in the form of social services. Kagaya nga, wala na kayong babayaran sa hospital pag kayo nagkasakit, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I think it sounded populist, lalo na, I think, kung ilalagay natin sa konteksto ng midterm elections tsaka yung assessment ng mga tao na kaya nagde-decline yung kanyang popularity in the past several months was because of several shortcomings by his administration.
Right.
That's right.
Do you agree with that?
Go.
Attorney, do you agree with that? Is it really a populist speech yesterday?
Oh yes, 100%. No? I don't think anyone can deny that the president was, if not being populist, trying to be a populist. No? Ang issue ko lang doon sa paggamit ng Filipino kasi is nahirapan siya So hindi siya sanay.
It's not natural.
Right? Hindi siya sanay mag-Filipino at halatang-halata na hindi siya sanay. So that was a big risk, no, na gagamitin mo ang isang lengguwahe na hindi ka gamay, hindi mo gamay gamitin, no? So whether it worked or not, I don't know, that remains to be seen, no? Kung
Yeah.
yung mga meron bang way to measure that, no? But certainly from my perspective, sa impression ko, yung ganong klaseng pananalita ng Filipino, yan yung tinatawag namin sa college dati, yung mga konyo, ganyan magsalita ng Filipino.
Attorney, that's...
hindi ka komportable.
Yeah, it's parang kasi the attempt to use Filipinos to connect, try to connect kasi in relation to that, this is his midterm SONA, no? Parang referendum SONA. And if you take a look at the numbers of the last two presidents, mas mataas sa mga numero nila kay PBBM. He has a lower trust rating than the last two presidents. So do you think, given na ito na yung last 2 minutes, ano na ang pwedeng gawin ni PBBM to increase his numbers so that kung sino man i-endorse niya sa next presidency, di ba may laban, may fighting chance. Take a look at kasi the other remaining projects. Parang the other remaining projects were passovers from the last administration. So ano pa ang pwede niyang gawin para at least tumaas-taas ang trust rating niya?
Actually, yung sagot dyan, nandun sa SONA na rin mismo Yung sinabi ni Pangulong Marcos sa mga kaalyado niya sa Kongreso, sinabi niya, huwag niyo gagalawin tong NEP, yung budget ko. Right? Kasi kung titignan mo, kung pinakinggan mo yung SONA, na puro, sabi nga ni Dean Dennis, maraming mga ayuda in the form of social services. Kung pakikinggan mo talaga, sinabi niya, ang daming mga bilyones na inalot niya dun sa budget niya.
Yeah.
Precisely para ma-fulfill niya yung mga pangako niya. At sabi nga, at kaya nasabi niya sa mga kaalyado niya, huwag niyo galawin to, huwag niyo bawasan to. Katulad ng ginawa ninyo noong 2025 na binawasan niyo yung DepEd, binawasan niyo yung DOH. Kaya nga siya natalo siguro noong 2025, di ba? And I think that is the way, that is probably the only way na tumaas ang trust rating niya. And that is yung pera na inalot niya dito sa budget niya, hindi galawin at mapunta to dun sa mga services na pinangako niya.
Ayun.
I think kung yung, in other words, kung yung pinlano niya na sinabi niya sa SONA, magkaroon ng pondo at matupad, I think that will boost his trust rating.
Ayun.
Kasi mararamdaman ng taong bayan yun.
Okay.
They will
Alright.
feel it
Oo, no. Well, we don't have much time. Prof. Dennis, baka meron kayong gustong i-add very quickly lang before we let you go.
Yeah, idagdag ko lang sa sinabi ni Attorney na at this point na parang ang goal ng President is to clean the house. Yung housekeeping, Yung pa lang, I think, pag na-fulfill niya yung ganung, naayos niya yung kanyang pamumuno, yung kanyang gobyerno, that's going to be his legacy. Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, we'll see, no?
We'll see
Kasi
next
sabi
year.
nga nila, a statement is different from implementing.
Mag-usap-usap tayo next year. Tingnan natin kung nalinis niya ngayong house.
Alright, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, political analyst Michael Yusinko, Attorney Michael Yusinko, and Professor Dennis Coronacion.
Alright, members of Bayan, Central Visayas held a protest in Cebu City on the day of President Bongbong Marcos' fourth State of the Nation address. They marched from Osmeña Circle to the police regional office, calling for the president's resignation and labeling his leadership a failure. While some Cebuanos welcomed the president's focus on healthcare and flood mitigation, others expressed frustration over the lack of concrete solutions to inflation, low wages, and joblessness and flooding. Cebu City Mayor Nestor Archival praised the administration's drainage projects, while Governor Pam Baricuatro supported the emphasis on improving healthcare access.
Kailangan na talagang i-terminate si BBM kasi wala palpak.
Happy regarding that. Kaya ang DPWH naamag din sila project about drainage, no? Program sa syudad. At the same time, ato nang ising sa drainage program nato sa syudad sa Subo. Happy ko na, indot kayo.
Now, the Philippine National Police described President Bongbong Marcos' fourth State of the Nation address as generally peaceful. Security was tight around the Batasang Pambansa with police closely monitoring protest sites and major access points. While several groups staged rallies, demonstrations remained calm overall. The National Capital Region Police Office estimated around 4,000 individuals joined the rallies, which were dispersed peacefully by late afternoon.
Ay, mabilis lang, kudos pala sa mga the way the police handled nga. Traffic siya but it was passable. In previous zonas kasi talagang hindi ka makakadaan ng gano'n. No? So, alright, don't go away because we're not done yet. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on the One News.
After back-to-back typhoons triggered heavy flooding in many parts of the country, President Bongbong Marcos called out alleged corruption in flood control projects during his fourth State of the Nation address. His remarks drew strong applause and prompted quick responses from agencies involved in flood mitigation and infrastructure. Here's the report.
One of the most applauded moments in President Bongbong Marcos's fourth State of the Nation address was his firm stance on flood control.
Kitang-kita ko na maraming proyekto para sa flood control ay palpak at gumuho. At yung iba, guni-guni lang. Huwag na po tayo magkunwari. Alam naman ng buong madla na nagkakaraket sa mga proyekto. Mga kickback, mga initiative, errata, SOP, for the boys. Kaya sa mga nakikipagsabwatan upang kunin ang pondo ng bayan at nakawin ang kinabukasan ng ating mga mamamayan, mahiya naman kayo sa inyong kapwa Pilipino. Mahiya naman kayo sa mga kabahayan nating naanod o nalubog sa mga pagbaha. Mahiya naman kayo, lalo sa mga anak natin na magmamana sa mga utang na ginawa ninyo nang binulsan nyo lang ang pera.
His remarks followed widespread flooding across the country brought on by recent typhoons and the southwest monsoon. According to the MMDA, all 71 of its pumping stations are fully operational. The agency is also fast-tracked post-flood cleanup using heavy equipment.
So sabi niya, ipagpatuloy lang at i-improve pa yung mga projects na nagmi-mitigate ng epekto ng pagbaha.
President Marcos also mentioned the rehabilitation of the Guadalupe Bridge. The MMDA says preparations are underway with minimal traffic disruption expected. Temporary detour bridges will be constructed to keep traffic moving. The main bridge will be closed for repairs next year.
Nakita naman natin yung efficiency niyan doon sa, I think, Mindanao Avenue. Di ba merong ginawang istasyon doon? Noong naglagay ng detour na karsada, hindi naka-apekto sa traffic yung ginagawang istasyon.
Supporters of President Bongbong Marcos braved bad weather to gather early along Commonwealth Avenue. Wearing red and waving flags, some even in costume, they cheered and sang despite the rain. They gave Marcos a 10 out of 10 rating for his first 3 years, citing achievements in agriculture and infrastructure. They also defended him from criticisms on recent flooding, saying it's nature and not the president's fault.
Now, go ahead. Some House lawmakers gave President Marcos an incomplete grade for his fourth SONA. ACT Teachers Representative Antonio Tino slammed the president's silence on wage hikes, saying workers are struggling as inflation rises. Kabataan Representative Rene Co also criticized the lack of clarity on how the government will address economic and constitutional crisis. But lawmakers supported the president's push to investigate alleged corruption in flood control projects. Let's get some updates from the House of Representatives.
We have with us mobile journalist Arles de los Santos reporting live from Batasang Pambansa. Arles, ano yung latest?
Magandang umaga, Checo at Angelano. Ngayon, araw ay katatapos nga lang mula kahapon na naging State of the Nation address ng Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. kung saan tinalakay nga ang iba't ibang mga issue mula sa edukasyon, infrastruktura, kalusugan at syempre ang kapakanan ng mga guro at mga kabataan. Pero ngayong araw ay naghihintay tayo para sa ikalawang session ng 20th Congress. Pero mamaya ay inaasahan din natin ang pagkakaroon natin ng mabilis na interview at pagkuha ng posisyon ng Kamara patungkol sa motion for reconsideration na ipafile nito patungkol nga sa naging desisyon ng Supreme Court sa impeachment case ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Kahapon ay nakapanayam natin, Angela at Diego, ang ilang mga mambabatas dito para sa bagong Kongreso, sa 20th Congress, at tila hati ang kanila naging opinyon. Ang iba ay tila nais ng abandonahin ang ideya ng paglitis o pagpapatuloy ng impeachment case ni Vice President Sara Duterte, samantalang ang iba naman ay iginigiit ang separation ng kanilang duty para sa legislatura at judiciary natin. Ngayon ay ating inaasahan ang pagbibigay linaw dyan at syempre gayon din ang pag-adapt ng iba't ibang mga resolusyon at bills na maaaring nabinbin o medyo naudlot dahil nga sa pagtatapos ng 19th Congress nitong nakaraang buwan lamang. At ngayon ngang araw ay syempre aasahan natin na kung matatalakay at mabibigyan prioridad ang mga panawagan katulad na lamang ng regulasyon o total ban ng online gambling, gayon din ang 200 piso na legislated wage hike na sana raw ay maipatupad na sa lalong madaling panahon.
Alright. Maraming salamat to our mobile journalist Arles de los Santos.
Yeah.
So overall, mixed yung reaction ng taong bayan regarding the Fourth State of Nation Address si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos yesterday. Sabi nga ni Senator Risa Ontiveros, parang for her daw, it's very ordinary. But for others naman, yun nga, tulad na pag-usapan natin kanina, parang he was really talking to the people, not the legislators in front of him.
Akin kasi this seemed like parang a more, instead of a report, parang you're blaming people inside your office. Diba? Kasi usually, this is the fourth already. The first was supposed to be kung ano yung gagawin mo. The second was supposed to be, ito yung na-encounter ko sa unang taon. The third, you're already reporting kung ano yung nangyari. But tapos fourth, you're blaming people for things that happened. And yet, it happened under your watch.
Yes, yung flood control projects na sinasabi niya, baka too late a hero in terms of making people accountable. Meaning, bakit ngayon lang niya kino-call out na may mga anomalya dito sa mga flood control projects when in fact 3 years ago nung siya ay umupo ay nangyari na yun sa government and he was the one who approved billions of pesos for those flood project control.
And then not only that, but
flood control projects.
Why did it happen in the first place? Yan ang issue. Bakit nangyari ang ganitong corruption under your watch when sa unang SONA mo you spoke of curbing corruption. Isa sa mga platform mo aside from yung agriculture, curbing corruption. 'Di ba? Mitigating the effects of corruption sa society natin. And yet,
tas konti lang din daw yung mga parang mga bills na dapat kumbaga tawag dito din-discuss niya during the SONA. Parang gano'n, 'di ba? So
Ayun.
we'll see. Tingnan natin kung tutuparin niya yung sinasabi niyang holding accountable, 'di ba, yung sa mga kumikickback or umarakit dito sa mga flood control projects.
Let's see, like next year.
Bubusisiin natin kasi sabi niya, 'di ba, yung sa budget, 'di ba, sabi niya kailangan kung sabi niya he's willing to tolerate na mag-reenact yung budget, 'di ba? Kung hindi daw tatalima or mag-a-align dun sa kanilang gusto sa national expenditure plan nila.
All right, before we let you go, Angela has a quote for everyone.
A government that truly represents its people must be accountable to them. That was a quote from former U.S. President Barack Obama.
And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.